Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to another pregnancy video. Today I'm going to be talking all about my second trimester, what I have endured, all the symptoms I've been having, new symptoms, a little bit of old symptoms mixed in there, kind of everything. There's been a lot. At the time I'm filming this, I am 27 weeks pregnant, so I'm at the very end of my second trimester. I'm about to start my third trimester. I think 28 weeks, like the beginning of 29 weeks is technically your third trimester. There's only 3 months left after that, so I would assume so. I just want to start out by saying pretty much everything I experienced in the first trimester I'm still experiencing except for nausea. My nausea has been definitely significantly decreased. If you missed the first video, I'll have it linked down below, and I will be making a third video as well at the end of my third trimester. But yeah, nausea is probably like the only thing that has really decreased. Everything else is kind of ramped up. I haven't been throwing up as much. I'm still throwing up, I'm just not throwing up as much. I'm not getting sick as frequently. So that's exciting. I thought that was gonna go away. I thought the nausea would disappear completely at some point. It has not. I'm just gonna go down the list with you guys. Things have definitely been coming and going in kind of like spurts and phases. Round ligament pain. I was definitely experiencing some round ligament pain kind of at the beginning of my second trimester. However, I haven't really had a ton of that. Thankfully, that went away. I probably experienced that for like 2 weeks. And it's mainly like, it's really sharp pain in your uterus. It sounds cuter than it is, right? Like round ligament pain sounds like softer than what it was. It's really like sharp stabby pain. If I had to rename it, I would rename it sharp stabby pain. Like I said, that was just a really strong, sharp pain in my uterus that lasted no more than 1 or 2 seconds, but was incredibly uncomfortable when it did happen. That's something that has since gone away. I haven't really dealt with that since the beginning of my second trimester. That's just something you're gonna experience from your uterus stretching, which is pretty much like where every pain comes from, is your uterus stretching and contracting and expanding. It's been a journey. It's been super fun. That happened a lot if I stood up quickly or sat down quickly. Any kind of quick movements would really spur that round ligament pain. I wrote, can't sleep, so uncomfortable. That's definitely still something I deal with every now and then. I would say probably 2 out of 7 nights of the week I have sleepless nights where I'm just so physically uncomfortable I cannot get into a comfortable position to sleep. A lot of that has been back pain for me. I have suffered with chronic back pain my entire life. It's been super fun for me. I've always slept with a pillow underneath my back and one in between my legs, so it cracks me up reading all these pregnancy blogs where people are like, try sleeping with a pillow under your back or try sleeping with one in between your legs. I'm like, ooh, shocking, groundbreaking, wow, you don't say. All these things I've been doing for years and years of my life already. They are necessities in my life. I always have a pillow behind my back if I'm sitting on a couch or a chair anywhere. Always have a pillow behind my back. It's like literally a necessity. Otherwise my back feels like it's on fire and it's just like excruciating. So that's fun. I do have what is called an anterior placenta, which means my placenta is attached to the front of my uterus as opposed to the back of my uterus. And basically what that means is my baby's gonna put a little more pressure on my back throughout this pregnancy, because usually you kind of have that cushion of the placenta. I don't. So my baby's putting more pressure on my back. I'm also more prone to back labor, which is gonna be super fun. I kind of thought that I would be just because I've had back issues my whole life, and it looks like I'm definitely going to be, so yay! I'm absolutely more irritable with people these days. 1000% I am fussier these days. I try not to show it. I try not to let any of that really come out unless I'm in the comfort of my own home with my husband. Then he gets all my wrath. He is super lucky in that way. But I try to not take it out on my coworkers as often as I would like to. But damn, it's a struggle. Like I said, I feel like I do a really good job of not showing that and not expressing that onto people who I know don't deserve that, but it is a struggle. It is a challenge. It is something I have to constantly work at to not just be like exuding that kind of negativity all the time, because I am so much more irritable. And it's so annoying because I know that the things that I'm upset about are irrational. Like I will literally be upset if someone asks me more than once like how I am or something. It will like physically upset me, and I'm like, that's not a good thing to be upset about. Like, that's not a rational thing to be mad about right now, but I will be like pissed off about tiny, tiny, tiny things that I know are not rational things, but I cannot help how upset I am. So that's why I've chosen to like not take it out on people, because they just don't deserve it, and it's my problem at the end of the day. That's really a me issue more than a them issue. I wrote down on here, my husband is the only man that I don't want to light on fire. True, very true. I don't know what it's been, why it's been this way, but men especially have just like pissed me off lately, just like in general. I don't know if it's because like I know that they have no idea what I'm going through and they'll never know what I'm going through. This is why I can't have a male doctor. This is why I'm 100% sexist when it comes to doctors, is because if you don't have a vagina, I don't want you telling me about my vagina. You know, if you don't know what this pain feels like, I don't want you to pretend you know what this pain feels like. You have no fucking idea what this pain feels like. So I don't want to hear it from you at all. Every other aspect of my life, I'm straight up equality 1000%. But when it comes to my vagina, I'm gonna need to speak to a woman. I'm gonna need to speak to someone who owns one of these. You know what I mean? So maybe it's a little bit of that, but for some reason, men just piss me off lately. Just their presence. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to do anything. Just in general, men have been pissing me off lately. It is a hard fact that my husband is the only person I don't want to light on fire. I feel like all of my like pregnancy cravings have pretty much gone away. I didn't really have a lot of strong pregnancy cravings to begin with, but I was really treating myself to like Happy Meals and root beer and McGriddles. Like McDonald's was something I was craving a lot, I guess. Yeah, McDonald's was definitely a craving of mine in the beginning, and that was absolutely something that I was treating myself to probably like twice a week. It's not really something I've been indulging with recently, because I did notice a peak in my weight gain, and that was something I was pretty unhappy with. So I changed my diet. I stopped eating McDonald's and I'm fine now. I lost the little bit of weight that I did gain during that time period. I feel like I'm now on the healthy average of like where I should be gaining weight wise, which is always a slippery slope for me, because I'm somebody who's dealt with body dysmorphia and still honestly still deal with body dysmorphia, as well as disordered eating. I've dabbled in bulimia, I've dabbled in anorexia, I've done a little bit of everything here and there. I've dabbled with abusing amphetamines to like keep my weight down and keep my hunger suppressed, you know, so I have to be very careful with how much I monitor things like my weight. Seeing my weight is a trigger for me, and I do have to get weighed in at the doctor every month now, so that is very triggering to me. And like I said, just somebody who still deals with body dysmorphia, it's been a challenge for me being pregnant for sure, but there was definitely some sense of relief in the beginning of getting pregnant where I felt like I'm allowed to gain weight for the first time in my life. I allowed myself to like be indulgent, do the things I wanted to do, which can be great, but honestly, it's not healthy when all you want to eat is McDonald's and you're like, let's give in every single time I want McDonald's. It's just not healthy for me. So I'm not currently monitoring my weight, but I am currently trying to be more conscious of what I eat. I still am not, I've never throughout this pregnancy starved myself. I've never made myself throw up. I've never deprived myself of anything or made my baby go without. Basically, it's just a balance now of, you know, I let myself have ice cream on the weekends. Weekends are kind of where I let myself play a little bit more and let myself be pregnant. So on the weekends, pretty much every weekend, we've been getting ice cream somewhere. That's kind of like my treat for being good for throughout the week. But it's like I said, it's not like I'm eating just like raw vegetables and chicken all week throughout the week to get that ice cream. It's not a reward system either, because again, that's not healthy for me. I will abuse that. That's too slippery of a slope for me to go down. It's too similar to disordered eating and I can't handle that. So I just eat what I want when I feel like it, but I have cut McDonald's out of my diet, basically. Long story short. I'm still getting acne everywhere. My acne has definitely subsided a little bit around the chin and jawline, but it's moved on to my face, which is super fun. I don't know if you're gonna be able to really tell. Yeah, you can totally tell. I'm like, it's studio lighting, so I don't know if you can like see, but no, you can totally see. Like, I'm just breaking out like crazy all the time. It's pretty severe. It's pretty intense. I've got two lovely beauties coming in right here, coming in hot, as well as body acne. I'm still getting acne on my chest area, which is super fun. Probably would help if I changed my bra and didn't wear the same bra all week long, but hey, I am who I am. The acne is super real. The acne is something, I've had acne my entire life pre-pregnancy, but it's definitely not been this bad since like high school, since like pre-Accutane. Like I was on Accutane in high school, so yeah, the acne is here to stay apparently. I wrote on here, I coughed so hard one night that I threw up. That happened. Basically, my husband made me laugh really hard, and in the fit of me laughing, I started coughing, and then I threw up for like a while. I threw up a lot. It was very unexpected because it went from like laughing, coughing, vomiting. It was just like this whole, it was fun. It was great. So I've had a lot of acid reflux in this pregnancy. Acid reflux has been something that I have struggled with previously in my life. I used to even be on like Prevacid for it, or what is it, like Prolisac or something. Heartburn is something I have absolutely struggled with every single day, and by heartburn I mean acid reflux. It feels like every single thing that I eat never gets further than here. I feel like everything I eat just like sits in my throat, and it's just like bad. It's just bad. There are certain things that I am finding out I can't really eat anymore. Sadly, one of them is pizza. Pizza is a big trigger of mine just because it's got so much of that like tomato, basil, marinara sauce on it, you know? There's so much acidity in pizza sauce that it's not a good time for me. Sometimes I will indulge on pizza on the weekends when I know I don't have to work the next day, because if I do have to work the next day, I'll usually have to call out because I'm so sick and throwing up so much from eating pizza 12 hours before. It's wild. We had burgers the other night from Freddy's, and I thought I was fine. I've had burgers before from Freddy's and been totally fine. Had to call out the next day because I was throwing up so much. I actually woke up with vomit in my mouth, which is the second time that's happened in my pregnancy, where I've woken up with vomit already in my mouth, which is just such a treat, you know, such a cute feeling. I was upset because I was sleeping and I was in bed. The time it happened before, I was like taking a nap, so I like got up and dealt with it. But this time I was like asleep in bed, and I woke up and I felt like it was the baby being like, I don't want this. And I was like, I don't want to either. So I swallowed it back down. I was like, I don't want to either. You take it. I was like, But it just came back up, you know? It just wasn't a good night. So that's been super fun for me. I've been a huge fan of Tums. If you watched my favorites video, I definitely shouted out the berry Tums. I have since switched over to the smoothie version, which are phenomenal. They're great. I have to remind myself they're not candy. I eat like 2 after a meal as needed. But recently my doctor told me it was okay to be on Pepcid. So I do take a Pepcid every morning as well. So I'm taking a lot of things for acid reflux. Are any of them helping? Kind of, but not entirely. It's still a problem. I deal with it all the time. I'm assuming I'm gonna have this problem throughout the whole pregnancy, and I'm okay with that. I'm gonna get a baby out of it. I'm still having to nap every day. I'm still exhausted. I'm still super tired. I still take a nap every single day. That has not changed for sure. However, I feel so much more like myself. In my first trimester, I felt so just drained of life and energy and personality. It hasn't been that way in my second trimester. I definitely feel like my personality is back. I feel so much more like myself. I feel like I can do things like film videos. I feel like I can go out into the world and go on dates with my husband again. Like I feel like I've definitely gotten my personality back, which has been super nice, because for a while there it was just like dead to the world, just absolutely dead. So I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily moodier, you know, being pregnant. That was something I was expecting, was to be like moodier. You always hear how you have like so many mood swings when you're pregnant. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm moodier. However, I would say the emotions that I feel being pregnant are 10 times stronger. So if I'm happy, I'm really happy. Like I'm crying, I'm so happy. I love my cat so much stronger. Like I love my husband so much more. Like the emotions I had pre-pregnancy, I'm still having, just much, much stronger. I hate anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers so much more passionately. Like it's just a lot more intense feelings. So that's definitely been new. But along with that, trigger warning, I am going to talk about suicidal thoughts for a second. Along with that, I do have to bring up some of the negative feelings that I've been having. I am somebody who deals with depression and anxiety. Pre-pregnancy, I was taking Lexapro and Trazodone, the loves of my life. Post-pregnancy, I plan on getting on those medications again to help balance out my depression and my anxiety. However, I'm not going to be able to start taking Lexapro again until I stop breastfeeding. That's not something that they recommend you take while you're breastfeeding, and I do plan on breastfeeding, so I'm gonna have to wait on that one. Trazodone is one that I am allowed to go back on, which is great, but it's more of a sleep aid than an antidepressant. It does have antidepressant qualities, but it's more of a sleep aid, honestly. But I loved it for sleep because it's very non-addictive. It didn't fuck me up, so I didn't abuse it because I am an ex-drug addict. I know, lots of layers to my personality, but it's just honestly my life. But that being said, the times where I have been depressed during pregnancy, I have experienced some suicidal thoughts. That's only happened about 3 times so far, but it's significant enough that I can tell you all about them. Like, I can remember those 3 nights. And when I say I've experienced some suicidal thoughts, I'm not saying that I've ever come up with a plan of how I would do it or wanted to carry out any actions. It's not like that. It's just very intrusive suicidal thoughts. It's very, very intrusive thoughts. And I feel like I've done a really good job managing that and just not giving in. I feel confident that I can continue to do so without the aid of any medication right now. But I did want to be honest with you and bring that up and tell you, yeah, I've definitely had suicidal thoughts while I've been pregnant. That's not something I'm ashamed of or embarrassed about. That's something that's relatively common, honestly. And hi, kitty. Not something you should be embarrassed about if that's something that you felt. Like I said, it's never something that I've ever felt like acting out or carrying out, because I'm thrilled to be pregnant. I'm thrilled with my life. I'm thrilled to have this baby. However, I've just dealt with some really, really dark thoughts during this pregnancy, and that's not uncommon to my life. But since I'm off my medication and my emotions are a lot stronger, it's kind of to be expected. I have been kind of insecure about my bump throughout this pregnancy. I am on the smaller side for sure. I've always been a skinnier person for sure. My name's Twiggy, for fuck's sake. So my bump isn't massive. My bump's a bump, a bump is a bump, and I look pregnant, for sure. And I'm only 6.5 months along right now, so it's not like my bump isn't gonna get bigger. It's gonna get much bigger coming up later, it's gonna be scary at the end. It's gonna get so big. But that's something I didn't expect, is to be dealing with insecurity around the size of my bump, because I've seen other women who are the same amount of pregnant as me and their bumps are so much bigger than mine. And then I'm just why is my baby so small? Why am I still so tiny? It makes me feel weirdly insecure, which, like I said, is just not something I was really expecting to deal with, is insecurity about my bump size. However, here we are. That, along with, in the beginning of my second trimester, I was getting asked a lot if I was feeling the baby kicking, and I wasn't. I wasn't feeling my baby kicking yet, and it made me really insecure having to tell people no, not yet, because I was spiraling in my head at that point, should I be feeling her kick? Should I have felt her by now? Is something wrong? Every mom, is something wrong? And nothing is wrong. I found out later at the 20-week ultrasound, the anatomy scan, that I do have an anterior placenta. My placenta is on the outside of my uterus, as I mentioned before, or the front of my uterus, meaning when my baby kicks, she's not just kicking my stomach, she's kicking my placenta. So I felt my baby kick later in pregnancy than most women typically do. That's normal. It's normal. It's all good. It's fine. But now that I'm 6.5 months pregnant, I feel her kicking all the time. I feel her all the time. Honestly, the past 48 hours, I have felt her more than ever in this pregnancy, which is crazy. She has been kicking up a storm in the past 48 hours, and I love it. There's nothing I love more than feeling my baby kick. It's just exciting. It's joyful. It's very sweet. It's really It's really awesome. I really enjoy it. It's a part of pregnancy I know I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss feeling my baby inside of me for sure. I am super hot all the time. I'm sweating my ass off all the time. We have the AC on the house on 70 or 72 all the time, and it doesn't matter. I'm still sweating my ass off. I'm constantly hot. I run super hot now. For the past, I mean, like pretty much honestly, my whole pregnancy, I've only been sleeping with a sheet, not even like a comforter or a blanket or anything, just the sheet. Like, I'm so hot. I also sleep with 3 fans on in the room. Like, your girl's hot. It's very uncomfortable. It's very hot. I'm excited that I'm in Ohio and it's gonna be winter soon, and I'm not gonna be nearly as miserable towards the end of my pregnancy as far as temperature wise goes, because it will be so cold outside. Definitely looking forward to that. That's gonna be a huge blessing when that happens. I wrote on here, peace out sex drive, goodbye. I've had 0 sex drive lately, just being super real with y'all. It comes and goes. Like, there are moments where I'm horny, you know, it's never when my husband's here, but it comes and goes. But it's just so much less than it ever has been before, because when it comes to like nighttime and like time to do the deed with my husband, I'm tired, I'm cranky, it's the end of the day, I'm looking forward to getting sleep. I work early every single morning. I work at 5 a.m. So sleep is like very, very precious to me in the wee hours of the night. So it's like sex has to be like a planned thing for me now. I'm like, okay, if you want to have sex, we need to go to bed by this time, and if we go to bed any later, like muffin shop is closed. No. But also, like, we were having sex recently and it was pretty painful. Like, I was experiencing a lot of pain, so much so that we actually had to stop, and my doctor said that can happen. That can happen. It's just your uterus contracting, so that causes a lot of pain sometimes if you're pregnant. Not normally, but during pregnancy that can be pretty painful. So I was experiencing a lot of pain, and then on top of that, since I am so pregnant now, I just feel like so full. I feel so bloated all the time. Like, my stomach just feels like at max capacity. So the idea of like shoving a dick up in there, just to be super blunt, the idea of shoving anything up in there, anything extra, I'm just like, no, I don't think so. There are other things you can do to keep your sex life going and keep your love life intimate. We have explored those things and it's been great. So, you know, we're all taken care of in that department. However, sex is definitely changing now that my body is changing and I'm getting more and more uncomfortable. Peace out, sex drive. My sex drive has pretty much left the building. The last thing I'm going to talk about, because this video is going to be so long, is my joints have been insanely sore. I have always had a bum wrist. Not always. I injured this wrist at work probably like 4 years ago, and it's always been my bum wrist. I have to sleep with a wrist brace on. It cracks all the time. It hurts a lot. It prevents me from doing things like lifting heavy items with this hand, as well as like push-ups. I can't do any kind of like workouts that put pressure on this wrist because it is excruciating. I've had an MRI done on it. I've had a lot of like physical therapy done on it. Nothing has helped. Pretty much they just tell me it's inflamed all the time. So yay, but now all my joints are inflamed. Like this wrist cracks all the time, my ankles crack all the time. When I stand up, my knee will pop, my hip will pop. All my joints are so sore. My shoulders are especially sore. I am an artist at my job. I do a lot of artwork, and at the end of the day, from like writing all day, my shoulder will kill me, like be so super sore. It's ridiculous. So I do have to use like my little like back massager that I have. I use that frequently. I'm using a heating pad a lot on my lower back. Whatever I can, really. I just need extra help because all of my joints are super sore. And to be really honest, it reminds me so much of how I felt when I was on Paragard, when I was on the birth control shot, or not Paragard, sorry, the depot shot. When I was on the depot shot for like 5 years, when I was on it for too long, it reminds me a lot of that period of my life where all of my joints just hurt constantly. I was constantly inflamed. I feel that way again. I very much feel that way. But now it's for a reason. Now it's because I'm having a baby. So like I said, all of these things may sound like complaints. They are not. I'm very, very, very thankful to be pregnant. I'm very thankful to be having a healthy pregnancy. I'm very thankful to be having this baby. It is not a complaint. These are not like things that I would trade to not be pregnant by any means. I would much rather be pregnant and be dealing with all of these issues than to not be pregnant or not be able to be pregnant. So as much as it may sound like I've been complaining, these are not complaints. These are just side effects that I want to be really honest about, because pregnancy is hard. Pregnancy can be super easy. It can be super hard. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not having a super easy pregnancy. I'm not having a super hard pregnancy. I don't want to overplay any of my symptoms. However, I do have to call out of work like once a week, and that makes me feel really bad about myself. Let's talk about that for a second. I feel really bad about myself. I'm having a lot of issues with self-confidence because I'm having to call out of work so frequently. And it's very difficult for someone like me because I hold myself to a high standard, and not being able to meet that standard and having to call people out and, in my mind, disappoint people all the time, regularly, at least once a week, makes me feel really bad about myself. But one of my girlfriends sent me a message being like, you're doing great. Like, this baby is your first job. Like, your job is your second job. And that really helped me getting into the mentality of like, no, like making a baby is your full-time #1 job right now. Like, you going to work is definitely your second job now. I'm just like, that really helped me. So if you're someone dealing with that, maybe keep that in mind as well. But wow, I think that's it, you guys. I think that's everything I have to tell you about my second trimester. It's definitely been a blessing. I'm so excited to meet this little girl you cannot even believe. Her nursery is entirely set up. That video should be going up, I think, before this one. So if you want to check out her nursery tour, I will link all that down below, as well as my first trimester recap. That's it. I'm an open book. If you have any questions for me at all, obviously I have no shame. So please leave them in the comments down below. I will get back to you as soon as I see them. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're having a great week. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.